Hello everybody, I'm Mr. C. Royce, and yeah, welcome to another different type of video today. I know recently there was the reaction to the Game Awards, which was already a pretty different video to what I've been doing so far, but this is another different type that I've been wanting to do. Now before this one, there were two other videos I wanted to make videos on. Now before this one, there were two other things I wanted to make videos about. Those being something to do with Nintendo, about how, talking about the Nintendo Switch as it is coming to the end of that era, and also about Dragon Ball, but considering the next Nintendo console hasn't even been announced yet, and the fact that I've yet to watch the Dragon Ball Daima series because I'm personally waiting for the dub, and that doesn't seem to be coming out till next year in January. Not to mention the upcoming new movie of this cinematic universe I'm talking about is really soon. I've already booked my tickets for it. It's technically out in 2 days, but for us it's 3 days because of course it is. America always gets it first because, Hollywood. But yeah, today I figured with the upcoming Sonic Movie 3, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the Sonic Cinematic Universe so far. That being Sonic Movie 1, Sonic Movie 2, and a little bit of the Knuckles series. I don't want to be talking about every little thing about the movie because I'd be here forever otherwise, gushing on about how much I love these films and going into every little detail. I don't want to do that. I just want to focus on some notes that I've written down about just some of the things I like about the previous films, and then just giving my thoughts, and then going over my hopes for the third movie, and talking about what I think about it so far, going off the 2 trailers, and also just talking about the hopes, and I also do want to talk a little bit about the future of the Sonic Cinematic Universe, as I have gone ahead and put down what I think may happen. So I guess let's begin, starting with, well, the beginning. To start off with, when thinking back to 2019, I had no idea this movie was going to be a thing. No, just absolutely nothing. But of course, that first trailer that came out in early 2018, it was a dark time for Sonic, wasn't it? Holy moly. Actually, no, it was early 2019, what am I on about? Thankfully though, as we all know, over time Paramount did thankfully fix the design, and I think what we got in the end was a pretty nice film. I remember watching it in cinemas, and it was one of the very last things I saw in cinemas for a long time due to COVID happening. But first time I saw it, I thought it was okay. Like, going into the film, I still had low expectations because even though they fixed the design, the film just looked very generic and very, character gets brought into real Earth world. You know what I'm saying? And that practically was the plot of the film. It was just the basic character from a different place gets thrown into a real Earth world, and buddy cop type of film, but in the end, it ended up being pretty charming and really wholesome, and just a very fun, joyful time. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the changes that they did, which granted, going into this film, I don't know why I didn't see them doing changes kind of like how. Because the MCU, it takes inspiration of the comics and the characters and, you know, all the stuff they made before, but they're telling it in a different order while still keeping true to the universe and everything. And that's basically what we're doing with these Sonic films. They're taking inspiration from the games, and they're taking the characters and, yeah, just kind of doing their own thing while still following a lot of the stuff that happened in the games. Speaking of Sonic, let's, yeah, Sonic. I find it really interesting how his origin. I mean, first of all, Green Hill looks beautiful. I do hope at some point later in the series we do get to see more of actual Sonic game locations. That'd be cool to see. And yeah, the fact that he's raised by this owl called, is it Longclaw, I think? Yeah. It's interesting because we never see that, because I'm sure there's been owl characters or bird characters in the comics, and I know we have Sonic Riders with Jet, and thinking all the way back to the original Sonic movie when it was animated, there was that, like, Grandpa Owl character, but besides that, yeah, we have Longclaw, and what we find out later as well with the echidnas and, you know, like, the whole reason why Sonic's sent to Earth in the first place, it's really interesting. Like, I'm sure realistically in the Sonic universe, the echidnas probably did have to fight all sorts of different other tribes, since they were the ones, you know, trying to claim all the power and everything, but yeah, I find that interesting. Another thing people have pointed out is that in the Sonic games, like in Green Hill, there are these totems of animals, and one of the animals, or like the main one, is owls. And yeah, it's like, oh man, maybe there was like a owl species that was everywhere, but now they've gone extinct. Like, building off that idea, I think that's pretty neat. Then there's the whole change that he has electricity. I know it's not that he actually has electric powers, it's more so, you know, Sonic building up kinetic energy, because the whole, you know, he runs so quickly, and he's, you know, passing sound barriers, and, you know, his quills, like, they build up electricity, and, like, that's the idea. And I think that's a really neat idea, actually, especially if they're trying to add, like, a bit of realism to it, because before it's just a case of, you know, you see like a blue dash line behind him, even though that's, I'm not really sure what that's meant to be. I guess it's just like, it's just there for design, you know, just for it to look cool, or, you know, just to signify that he's going at top speed, you know, since that's his thing, which in the film he actually does do. We see him slowly build up his speed, and yeah, in the baseball area, that's when he gets upset about, you know, being alone, because he can't let anyone see him, because otherwise they'll be after his power. We see him get upset, and we see him running around and round, and that first time when an explosion happens, that's when he hits the speed of sound, because apparently when you do hit the speed of sound, that's what happens. You pass like a sound barrier, and an explosion just goes off, and it's, I don't know, just little attention to details like that. It's little stuff like that that makes me really enjoy the first and the second film. Speaking of little things, that scene where Sonic gets his shoes, that was a really sweet scene. Because all his life he's had to just go through spare shoes, and he's always just run them down literally because of how fast he goes. I guess that part's a bit unrealistic, but screw it, who cares? Nice to see him with a pair of shoes that are pretty much very like the games. Then there's the human characters, and I really like them. I know across the movies and local series there's definitely been better ones than others, but for the most part, you know, Tom and Maddie, they're a really adorable couple and just really enjoyable people. And even like Maddie's sister, who I don't remember her name, but I think she can be pretty funny, and her daughter is really sweet. And then, of course, speaking of humans, there's Eggman, who, you know, Jim Carrey just does a great job at. Eggman's always been this very, you know, over the top, you know, very, I forget how you describe it, but, you know, very self-absorbed, I guess. You know, he's always, you know, it's all about him. He's at the very top. He's the genius. He, you know, he's above humanity in terms of technology. He has the, what is it, 3000 IQ? But yeah, Jim Carrey does a really good job. Same with Ben Schwartz. I think he does a pretty good Sonic. I know in this universe it's like he acts more like a kid, and I know not everyone's into it. The same with like the movies as a whole, but definitely not for everyone. But yeah, like it's very aimed towards that kid, like family-friendly audience, which I think is fine. You know, because it can have its serious moments while also having enough, you know, jokes in there for the kids, and you know, same with adults as well. It's got plenty of humor for all ages, I think. I guess to go over like some things I'm not the biggest fan of. I guess to go over things I didn't like as much. For starters, the Eggman robot designs, they were pretty basic. I know why, it makes sense. He's from the government, and you know, it's advanced technology on Earth, so it's like it makes sense. But yeah, they were pretty generic. I do appreciate how they are the shape of eggs. That's something that's pretty neat. But yeah, other than that, and other than the flying airship at the end, there's, and also the big robot that Sonic gets chased in while he's in the car with Tom. Like, the normal white ones are kind of generic, and I do think, speaking of that car scene, you could argue there's a bit too much of that, and how, you know, it makes no sense for Sonic to be in the car, but it kind of does, because he doesn't want to leave Earth. He wants Tom to take him back, because he wants to experience life on Earth as much as he can before he does have to end up leaving, because he's been living here for years now, and he loves it here. And even though he technically doesn't have any friends, he's been sticking around with all these people that he likes and loves to see, and it's, I don't know, I think that part was fine. The only car scene I don't like was when Sonic got emotional over Tom leaving, and I understand why. You know, the whole, you know, Sonic, he was forced out of where he used to live, and to him, hearing Tom say, oh, I'm gonna leave too, you know, just because he can and because he wants to do something else, it doesn't sound right to him. I get it, but even then I feel like Sonic was a bit over the top about it, you know what I mean? And then another negative is the fact that it does take that classic, you know, character from a different world and putting it on planet Earth story, which has been done to death. It's, well, it is a generic plot and has been done to death. I do think it was done fine enough here, even if it's, you know, even if there wasn't much connection to the Sonic games. That's if anything, this movie for this cinematic universe does pretty much bring up the origin of Sonic, because we got to see him as a little kid and grow up into more of a kid teen age. I have no idea how old Sonic's meant to be in these movies, but and then even the origin of Eggman, of how he used to work for the government, and then over time he's slowly become more and more insane. He's gone bald, he's gone the mustache, and you know, just become crazy for power. And I will say as well, because of how it gets over Sonic and Origins Eggman and how we pretty much know them as characters now, it perfectly sets up for the second film. And even though like you can tell there were probably, I mean, I know there's a whole Sonic redesign thing, but you can tell for this first movie, Paramount probably wants to test the waters and, you know, see if they could bring Sonic into the real world well enough so that next time they could have a higher budget and actually, you know, focus on more characters and stuff that comes from the games. Which I think is fair enough, and, you know, this movie was a massive success, even though you could tell they were, you know, they weren't able to go full all out yet with this first film. It was a nice, really good start up to what was to come. As I say, I feel like this first movie sets up both Sonic and Eggman really well. And then from there onwards, we have the second film, which just opens the floodgates for so many more possibilities. And so far, with what's coming up next with the third film and what could be in store for the future, this is setting up to be a really good cinematic universe. Another thing I really enjoy is the wings. I know it's not uncommon for them to take you to a different location, but the fact that in this film you hold it, you think of where you want to go, you throw it. Like, I'm surprised they haven't thought of that idea before, to be honest, with previous Sonic movies. I know previously basically the currency or the just you know, the things that power you up and all that, but I do dig this new idea of them literally being Doctor Strange portals to another location. And especially with scenes like the final part of the Sonic movie where Sonic's being chased and he's going all around the world to try and avoid him, and then there's the epic battle at the end where he powers up and thanks to Tom, they're able to send him to a mushroom planet where Sonic didn't want to go, and yeah. It's a pretty epic scene. But yeah, up next, Sonic Movie 2, and my goodness, man, it feels like forever now when I watched Sonic movie and I waited for the end credits, and I didn't really know what to expect, but just simply seeing another Sonic character and the fact that they weren't done, really exciting. And then there was the big trailer showcase at the Game Awards 2021, which was really cool. That was such a hype moment. And yeah, just overall, it's a really well done sequel. To me, this feels like the movie they wanted to make, but they couldn't because obviously, you know, timing, and they didn't have the budget, and obviously they had to start off small, which is fine. But yeah, from here they improved. There's still stuff that needs to be improved that I hope going into the third film is a lot better or is just gone. But overall, like, it's a whole point above the previous film to me. Like, the Sonic's development on, you know, him wanting to be a hero, which is really great. And the fact that Tom has good advice about it makes sense, since how, he is a cop and he probably needed to learn all about the justice system. And then there's, obviously Tails, which is great. The fact that they got in the same voice actor that Tails has in the games is really sweet. I think he's really adorable, and the friendship he grows with Sonic as well is very wholesome. I love when they're together, and Tails explaining his origin just like he has in the games where he was bullied and Sonic's the one who accepts him, and yeah, just really sweet stuff. I also really like his inventions that we see in this film as well, that the human characters get to use, Maddie and her sister. It's really cool and just goes to show just how inventive he is, and yeah, just like how helpful his inventions are. It's really sweet. And then, yeah, like even the plane being in the film as well. Like, it's not officially his plane, it's just the plane they have at a wedding scene that I guess he just goes and takes without permission, I guess. But yeah, it is pretty much the plane from Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Sonic Adventure, and actually quite a lot of Sonic games actually, but yeah, it's really cool to see that as well. And yeah, I think they just pretty much nailed Tails here. Like, they nailed his character. And yeah, like him becoming more confident thanks to Sonic, and actually having a friend in life. It's, I don't know what else to say. It just truly is like very sweet, and really adorable friendship. And I hope we get to see more of it. And I hope we do get to see Tails grow, kind of like how he does in Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, where even if he isn't with him, he can, have the courage to, be the hero when needed, and not just the sidekick. But yeah, so far, Tails has been an absolute joy. Then we have Knuckles, who was introduced, and yeah, quite like a bit different from the games. He definitely has a more warrior character to him, and also a more deeper voice as well, which I think really fits. And I forget how you say the name of the voice actor for Knuckles, my apologies, but I think he does great. I know a lot of people have compared him to that one character in Guardians of the Galaxy, where he's not dumb, he's just unaware. Like, some things he'll say, it's like, like he doesn't realise like what a joke is, and like, because of how he's grown up in life, he's just used to taking things very seriously, and he doesn't know what jokes are, and he doesn't know how certain things work, and it's just really funny to see him work off that. And in general, I would go as far to say that the Knuckles in this cinematic universe is probably my favourite version of Knuckles we've got yet. I love how he looks. I really dig how powerful they actually made him out to be, because with the Sonic games at the time, and with that we didn't get to see Knuckles do much, seeing him in a movie, actually being able to put up a good fight with Sonic, and really show off his powers, like his really, really powerful strength. It was really cool to see. And yeah, just like the games, the whole, betrayal story of Eggman tricking Knuckles to work with him, and you know, him then teaming up with Sonic later on, where there was a really sweet scene where Sonic pretty much gives him the lesson that Tom gave him, and how they ended up becoming allies. It's all really good stuff. Speaking of Knuckles, we do get backstory with the echidnas, where we get to see a bit of, we get to see why Knuckles is even here, and it's due to the echidnas and the owls. Is it owls? I'm pretty sure they're owls. But yeah, them fighting over each other for years due to the echidnas wanting power, and them actually eventually getting it, with them combining all the Chaos Emeralds to make the Master Emerald, which is also different from the games, because the Master Emerald and the Chaos Emeralds have always been separate. Like, the Chaos Emeralds have never been in the Master Emerald, at least as far as we know, in terms of the lore, so that was new. And the fact that with the Master Emerald you could literally absorb it and, have the ability to pretty much recreate what you can imagine. This ultimate magical power that can pretty much grant you anything. It's never really explained how, because eventually the Master Emerald does break and Knuckles is able to fix it. We never understand why he's able to do that. I know the echidnas made the Master Emerald, so maybe him knowing the stories, he probably just thought, hey, well, I've got all these pieces, so I'll just put them together, and oh, would you look at that? Fixed it, so yeah. I don't know, it's not really explained well. I do hope they go into it more in the third film, but it doesn't look like the Chaos Emeralds or the Master Emerald is going to be in it that much, so we'll see, but I really do hope they slowly do expand on that story. By the way, I absolutely adore the art style they have when Tails is reading the ruins, and how, it shows the backstory in this cool art style, and I guess mostly black and white, but it then has all the colours of the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald, and it's a really sweet design. I really dig it. Looks super beautiful every time. I always love that, how when they're going to a backstory, they'll probably show it in a whole completely different style and not just live action. I think I know it's probably a common thing nowadays, but it's still really neat to see. Just nice little attention to details, and just nice little extra spoonfuls of goodness that they add in. Then there's the return of Eggman, who, once again is just great. Here, both him and Agent Stone, who, did I mention him for the first? I'm not sure. But yeah, him and Agent Stone together, they're really fun together, and yeah, the fact that Eggman does have a design that's more like the games, where it's, the mustache and the bald head, and I guess not quite the design of Eggman, but it's getting there. Again, it's building his character, it's, him going more and more slowly insane to the evil genius we recognise for the games. Plus, the fact that he actually, I mean, I know in terms of world designs, it's just the same ones, but we also have, the wasp-looking one, and then much later on we have, a tiny one with, the circles floating around it. It's not much, but it's at least something. But then there's the whole, Death Egg robot, which is really cool to see, one of the most iconic boss fights, and yeah. Even though we don't get a Death Egg, and even though I don't really see a actual, Death Star Death Egg in the future, it is cool we actually get the Death Egg robot itself. So yeah, overall, it's great improvement, and it's great expanding on the character and just continuing the story. In terms of the other humans, once again, Tom and Maddie are great, and even though we obviously do get a bit too much human screen time with the wedding, with the whole side plot about that, even though it is pretty funny and also pretty sweet, it is distracting. It does go on for too long, and yeah, it's a pretty big problem, which I really hope they fix for the third film. I know human characters are going to be in these films for the third one and possibly many more in the future, which I'm fine with. It makes sense. It's the Sonic universe. There's been plenty of Sonic games where there are humans in it because it's based off the real world. But yeah, we can't have them having too much screen time like that one wedding scene, or like how there was a lot of screen time for humans for the first film. And especially Knuckles series as well, because my goodness, did they make a big mistake there with a lot of human characters in there. Speaking of human characters, we also have the introduction to Gun, which is also neat. I know they even have the helicopter from Sonic Adventure 2 that's in the film, but doesn't get used, it just gets destroyed. But yeah, it's good that they introduced that, especially with what's coming with the third film. They do say that in this universe, Gun was made due to the whole, the Sonic incident and the whole, other characters from other worlds are coming in. But in the games, it was always a thing. It was there 50 years ago since the incident. Since what happens with the Ark. But with this, that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, granted, I can see that maybe for the second film, they have it so that they're lying, and they're obviously trying to cover up the fact that whatever horrible accident happens for the third film, aka referring to a certain character's backstory. Yeah, they might have covered that up and maybe lied, as Gun was meant to be like a secret government thing, like how it is in the games. That's my guess anyways, and I don't see why they wouldn't do that. I can definitely see Gun lying to Team Sonic in the next film about why, what happened in the past, and, even though what really happened was because of them, which is, why bad things are happening now. But yeah, overall, Gun, I mean, we don't really see much from Gun. It's just mostly humans and just basic military stuff, but I am interested to see how they're going to go from here with the whole, are they going to be more like the games where they actually have the big gun robots to go up against Eggman tech, or is it just mostly just military and people in uniforms with blaster guns? I do hear a lot of people say that the second film is a bit of a mess, which, yeah, it kind of is. Again, there's the whole, and there's obviously like a very classic story of, we gotta chase after this thing and we gotta get there first, even though we know at some point the enemy's gonna get an advantage, and so the heroes have to catch up only for them to get it, but then they find a way to stop it anyways. And again, the whole pacing issues with, like the scene with Sonic and Tails at the bar for too long, and, like again, I don't mind that because it's for their friendship and, them getting out of a situation together, which again is really cute. Then there's again the wedding scene, which drags on for too long and, goes off course with the main story. It's, yeah. And yeah, like it's a long film as well. It's 2 hours. Well, just over 2 hours anyways. I I imagine, I know if you don't count the credits, it's technically just less than 2 hours, but still, that's quite the length. And I know this third film, even though I do wish it was about 2 hours, is still about an hour and 50 minutes, which is still pretty long. But yeah, as long as they can improve on the pacing and, you know, there isn't like any side stuff or, you know, just focusing on things that don't need to be there, then I think we should be okay. But yeah, in terms of Sonic Movie 2, I think it's also mostly fine. It's plenty of action-packed moments, and a lot of the scenes do get through the story well enough. Like, it doesn't feel like a drag at all. It's, you know, very enjoyable. From all the way from the beginning, with, you know, Eggman getting off the Mushroom Planet with Knuckles, to all the way to the end with the really epic Supersonic sequence, which I wasn't sure Supersonic was going to be in this or not, but it was a very lovely surprise to see that it was. Very epic moment. And then, yeah, there was then the very, very end with the massive reveal of Shadow the Hedgehog, which blew up, like. And the fact that they even announced movie 3 before the second one just came out. Like, they knew it was going to pop off. They knew they did a great job. And then, yeah, here we are. We had to wait, how long? Like, 1, 2, like, yeah, nearly 3 years for this. This is why movie 3 is my most anticipated movie this year. Because obviously Sonic's one of my favourite franchises ever, and the fact they are going to do the Shadow plot, and oh man, it looks incredible. Before going on to more Sonic Movie 3, there is the Knuckles series, which I won't talk about too much about that. I know overall it's got mixed reviews because it's, you know, it focuses way too much on Wade, who's a human character who is enjoyable and stuff, but yeah, it focuses way too much on his side. And I get why, it's because they wanted to develop the character, because that was Knuckles' mission. Because an ancestor that came from heaven, like, gave him the task to train, like, the ways of the Echidna to someone, and yeah, he was selected to Wade, and well, he was enjoyable, and well, his antics are funny and everything. It's yeah, again, they focus way too much on him and all other human characters, and well, I do think there was enough Knuckles in this that there should have been more. There should have been a lot more development on him. That said, we do have some pretty nice and funny moments with him, you know, Knuckles interacting and finding more about the world, and also just starting to get along in his new home. And thinking back, like, and just thinking back, like, there are some really sweet scenes, like, the one that comes to mind is when Sonic has that talk with Knuckles, you know, just, it really shows that Sonic's growing up, and, you know, him interacting with Knuckles and, you know, trying to give him advice and say, hey, you know, you can relax now, and, you know, don't have to worry about this or that, you know, just, I love stuff like that. I think, yeah, like, the time Wade's family gets attacked because Wade is, like, on a wanted poster because, you know, this group, like, this man who's trying to get Knuckles' quill energy to make his own machines, who used to work for Eggman. It's an interesting idea, but again, like, that's never developed too much, which is a shame. Like, a lot of missed potential I've noticed with the Knuckles series. It's still overall an enjoyable time for me, and I do think there's generally some funny parts. And, you know, as I was just about to say, Like, because Wade's a wanted man, people are attacking his house, and Knuckles defending it with Wade's mom was hilarious. Like, the 3D movement camera shot was really good. Seeing Wade develop and be a more confident character was really cool. And just any action scenes with Knuckles at all was really satisfying. Just him pulling off some really big punches, and then there was, of course, the Flames of Disaster, which, first of all, very weird dream sequence. Second of all, like, it's very weird, but it's also kind of creative because you can tell they were on a lower budget because it's the first series for this cinematic universe, and again, Paramount, if I had to guess, probably didn't want this to be a massive budget show. They wanted this to be like a test, which is why I feel like the Knuckles series did go a bit backwards in terms of what fans wanted, but yeah, it was a really creative, but yeah, it was a very weird but it was a very weird but also creative sequence because it was actually like using like models and stuff from the games, you know, having the wing boxes, having like Angel Island in the background, even though Angel Island isn't a thing, at least maybe not yet in this universe. And then the fact that Knuckles apparently has the Flames of Disaster, which is this fiery power that comes from this beast that is from Sonic 06. Like, I don't know what that's going to imply for the future, but it definitely has me questioning things. I'll say that, but I mean, I know Knuckles has had fiery-like abilities before, but the fact that he has straight up the Flames of Disaster, like, I don't even know, like, what? But yeah, overall, even though it's not as good as Sonic Movie 1 or Sonic Movie 2, I still found it pretty enjoyable, and I feel like a lot of other people did, and I do hope going forward, if they do make a Season 2, they can do better, get higher budget and everything. Same goes for any other series they do, which I'll be very surprised if they don't. That said, I obviously do hope they focus more on the movies than making series, because obviously I don't want a Disney Plus situation, that'd be really bad. But yeah, I mean, so far they've been doing a pretty good job of the films, getting better and better, so I would expect going forward they can also do just as good of a job with the series as well. In terms of how much I like the look of the films, I think cinematography and the CGI, like especially over time as well, it's definitely improved. I don't know if it's the most realistic looking thing, as in, like, do they look like they're actually there, but to be honest, I think what matters more is, you know, how good they look. Like, even if it doesn't look like they're really there, like, as long as it looks decently well enough that they're there, that's fine. All that matters is more how good they look, and yeah, they did a really good job. Both how they look normally and how they look when they have electricity forming, and, you know, all the battle scenes and, you know, chase scenes, it's all really well done. And you can tell with each film they've upped the budget because of the textures of the fur and everything. In terms of the music for these movies and series, it's so far been pretty bland. Like, I agree with most people when I say it's pretty bland. It's not terrible though. I have listened to some of the music and I do think some of it is pretty good. There's some memorable tracks in there, but I do hope with the third movie and going forward they can put in actual Sonic music. I understand while there's a lot of Sonic music, not all of it will fit for a movie. Even if they were to remix it or to, you know, make it more cinematic. But there's some really good tracks in there that do deserve to be in the film. And, you know, plenty of people have put the Sonic music over the films, and a lot of it fits very well, and it'd be a shame not to have stuff like City Escape or Live and Learn for the third film. It just wouldn't feel the same, especially if they are legit just recreating the scenes that the music comes from. And not as in Easter eggs, I don't want that. I've noticed they've added like Easter eggs of the music, like Eggman whistling the Eggman theme and, you know, them playing the drowning music really quietly. And it's like, why? Just give us the actual music, you know? Like the music we have in the movies, it's good, like I say, there's some really memorable tracks, but yeah, a lot of them are pretty bland and forgettable, and you know, ones that probably sound very similar to other cinematic movies that you'd hear in a Marvel film or something. So yeah, I do hope that, you know, again, I understand they can't always have Sonic music, and that's fine. I don't mind them making original pieces, but yeah, we definitely need at least 1 or 2 Sonic tracks per movie. In terms of the like the pop music or just the celebrity music, I don't mind those too much as long as there isn't too much. And so far, yeah, it's been all fine. In terms of the new songs that we get for each Sonic movie, those are great too. Like those original, I forget what they're called. I think one's called Speed Me Up. Second film, it's Stars in the Sky, and then for the third film, it's Run It. So, but yeah, all those are great. They're always nice to hear at the end of the films with all like the pixel 2D sprites. I don't know if the third film is going to have 2D pixel sprites. It might be Polygon, more like Sonic Adventure 2, since that's what a lot of the films are going to be inspired from. But yeah, just overall, like, all those songs are great, even if they're not that related with Sonic at all. But yeah, still really enjoyable. I've listened to them plenty of times. And yeah, with that, there's been Sonic Movie 3, which, again, I mean, by the time this hopefully goes up, I will be seeing very soon. And yeah, for the most part, I'm super hyped for it. There were 1 or 2 worries I had, but after watching the second trailer, and so far, from what I've barely heard, yeah, I'm hearing a lot of good things about this film. Because the premieres have happened in London, and now they're happening in America. And yeah, so far, it's all great stuff. There's a lot of good things happening. A lot of enjoyable goodness. What am I saying anymore? I don't know. But yeah, the trailers look great. I do regret watching the second one because it does... I mean, the first one already showed off a lot as it is, and the second one, yeah, I regret watching it. It's an epic trailer, but my goodness. Trailers nowadays, man, they show off way too much. I can pretty much guess how a whole film might go. I'm not gonna say it because this recording's already long enough, but yeah, it's a shame. They should leave more things up to surprises. Obviously, I know they haven't spoiled the whole thing, but you know, can still take a pretty good idea of what's gonna happen. It's a good thing I'm the type of guy that goes to a cinema, you know, switches my brain off and just watches what happens, and I try not to think about what's going to come up next or what was shown in the trailers. I mean, I've already got a bad memory as it is, so, you know. But yeah, the film looks amazing. There are some changes, obviously, of the whole, you know, where Shadow's origin took place, it seems, but Keanu as Shadow sounds pretty much perfect. I can't wait to see Maria in this, because Shadow and Maria together I absolutely adore. Seeing Jim Carrey play as both Eggman and Joe is going to be interesting. I've heard a lot of good things about that. Seeing Sonic and his friends develop further of their friendship and, you know, being the heroes that they're going to be. And the stakes that this film is also going to have with how threatening Eggman is going to become. And how, you know... Because like Sonic Adventure 2, it looks like there will be a moment where it's pretty much like it's do or die. We are... like the Earth's in danger of being destroyed and we only have a certain time limit to stop it. And yeah, I'm really interested to see how Shadow is gonna change his mind and realize, you know, this is not what should be done, this is not what Maria wanted, you know. Also interested to see how he's, you know, if we do get flashbacks throughout the film and, you know, just seeing how Shadow copes and deals with his trauma and his backstory. And of course, I am really interested to see how, because it looks like we might get at least 2 battles with Sonic and Shadow in this film, and I am really interested to see how it's gonna go down. Because it feels like they've barely shown any action so far, which is good. I do want to save all that for the cinema experience. But yeah, I hope there's plenty enough of it, and I hope it's epic. I hope they go all out with Shadow's abilities and, you know, Sonic trying to learn how to keep up with him, and, you know, just thinking about it gets me really excited. And this film, I mean, obviously, out of all of them, easily has the best potential. And, well, again, like, from what I've been hearing so far, from what little I've heard, from early reviews and people being invited to the premiere, which I've not looked into and I don't want to, even if it isn't spoiler stuff, because, you know, I've already seen enough from the trailers and I've already heard enough from interviews, so... But yeah, I have full confidence that this could very well be the best, like probably the best video game movie yet. And I can't wait to see it very soon. In terms of what I'm hoping for the future, like if I show you guys right here, to me, in my opinion, the first 3 Sonic movies and the Knuckles series, that to me is phase 1. And I feel this way because it starts with Eggman, and I mean, I don't know what we're gonna do if Jim Carrey doesn't come back, because he already talked about retiring after Sonic Movie 2, but even though he is back here, I don't know if he will be back for any more. Either way, I'm sure they'll find a good replacement for Eggman, but either way. But for these 3 films, and even with Knuckles, because the whole, you know, people who used to work for Eggman when they were kicked out, and yeah, making their own inventions. But yeah, starting from the first film up to now, Eggman has always been the main villain. And I feel like, I mean, I'll be very surprised if they do. Like, if he really isn't in any other future films, that's gonna be really surprising. Because even when he's not the main villain, he is usually the reason why there was another villain to fight in the first place. And so I feel like going into the future of this cinematic universe, we're going to start seeing the other villains from Sonic. That isn't just Eggman or Eggman's grandpa. This, as you'll see on screen, But yeah, Sonic Movie 1, 2, 3 and the Knuckles series, that to me is Phase 1. That's like the Eggman saga. Or the Robotnik saga, which probably makes more sense because it starts with Robotnik and then it ends with 2 Robotniks. With Phase 2, I feel like we're going to dive more deeper into this universe and we're going to start seeing more of the different villains. And yeah, we're going to see more of the universe expand. I don't know if we're going to quite go away from Earth just yet. I still feel like there's plenty to be done here. Like, I know there's been a lot of theories saying that, oh, Sonic might go back to his old world, and well, I can see that happening. I'm not sure if it's quite yet. I guess it depends, because if it's a case where he's going back and he's never coming back to Earth again, then that's a no. I don't see why they would do that, especially when there's still so many movies they could do in the real world that, in the Sonic games, do take place in the human Earth world, you know? But yeah, I just made this quick little thing saying what I think could happen next. I feel like a movie where Metal Sonic's the main villain, you know, based off Sonic's CD and Heroes. Shadow getting his own spin-off movie because why wouldn't he? It's Shadow the Hedgehog, one of the most popular characters in Sonic of all time. Like, probably like the second to most popular character, I'd say. Plus it's Keanu Reeves, and Keanu Reeves is amazing. Like, generally one of the best actors and one of the most lovely human beings. And like with Eggman, and like with Jim Carrey and all these other actors, you can tell he's putting a lot of work into it and he's having fun, and yeah, like, I'd be really surprised if there isn't a Shadow spin-off. Whether it is a movie or whether it is a series where it's fighting off the Black Arms from, of course, Shadow the Hedgehog and Shadow Generations. And then there's the whole, you know, introducing Silver to do the Iblis Trigger thing with Mephiles. I'm not sure how it's going to go down with the whole, you know, Knuckles having the Flames of Disaster, or, you know, depending on what other changes they'll have. Like if Blaze is even going to be in this, I don't know. But then yeah, then there's the potential of a Knuckles Season 2, which I think could easily happen. And I do hear rumours of the Chaotix maybe coming in. I know they technically are already in because they're in a Knuckles comic that takes place before movie 2 happens. But yeah, it'd be cool to see them get their own series, because they're a great bunch of characters. I love SPO, Charmy and Vector. They need more of. Whether it's them being in the Knuckles Season 2 or them getting their own series, either way, I'd love to see it happen, and I also feel like either way, we are probably going to get about 2 new series anyways. Like a Knuckles Season 2, but we're also going to get something else in between, as we do wait for the big movie projects. That's just what I think. That's just me really thinking about the Sonic universe and really thinking about how, you know, and what they could do in order. But I don't know. For all I know, they could make a movie about Frontiers next, which isn't impossible because it sounds like Frontiers 2 is in development, and it could be out by the time they do get the next Sonic movie finished, because it's at least a 2-year wait. So, I mean, personally, I would wait for them to do a Frontiers movie at a later time. Maybe save it as one of the last films they do. I don't know how long they're going to make these films or how much longer they can. I guess I mean, I know it all depends on how much money they make and how much the fans come back and how much they take feedback and everything and how much they listen to what we want, but... And while I definitely don't want this to go on forever because, you know, you know. And then there's obviously the worry of, you know, if it ends up being like the Marvel Cinematic Universe where it tries to do so much at one point and it's just but yeah, even though I do hope it's not forever. I do hope they can do a good amount of movies before they do wrap up this universe, because there's generally so many good possibilities that they could do, and so far it's been a great journey, and I really hope they can keep it up. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. Again, there's so many different possibilities of how they could do it in whatever order they want. But yeah, there you go. As I said, there's so many possibilities and ways they could do it in whatever order. I do hope they have a plan so that it's not just, oh, we'll do this and it's just this and this and, you know. I do hope they have planned it out in phases so that they can, you know, build up to, you know, big things and, you know, like I say, like, maybe having a movie that's based off Sonic 06 be like the grand finale of a phase and then they move on to the next big thing, you know? Etc, etc. Hope they have a plan, and yeah. Hope they take feedback well and they keep, you know, keep making these movies the best they can, and yeah. So far it's been an incredible journey, and I really hope going forward it can stay an incredible journey and go far above anyone ever expected for this cinematic universe. But yeah, I think for now that's it. I've been talking for over an hour. My goodness. I'm gonna try and get this done before I go see it in cinemas, because obviously that's the point. I'm talking about my thoughts so far and what my hopes are for the third one. And yeah, I do plan to make a Sonic movie 3. I don't know if I'd say it's a review, it's just, again, more, you know, just saying however I feel and giving my thoughts. I'll try and make it non-spoiler, and then later on it'll be, you know, me going all out and just talking about the film. Even if I don't remember every single little bit of detail. Speaking of details, there may be things I've forgotten about that I could have talked more about in this. In fact, I'm pretty sure there are. Like, if I had done this so it's like I'm talking about the whole movies as a whole, I'm just going scene by scene, I could be talking for hours. I could be here all day because I love these films, but obviously that'd take me too long and I'd never get this video uploaded. But I know there's stuff in this I probably forgot to talk about that I probably also enjoyed a lot, even if it's down to little details. But again, if I went over every little thing, I'd be here forever otherwise. And I do want to get this uploaded eventually, so I do apologise if I was all over the place. I did have notes on me on, you know, what I wanted to specifically talk about, but I think I got a bit scrambled up here and there. I'm going to try and edit this video to the best I can, but if it is still a bit of a mess, my sincere apologies. Like I said, this is my first time doing a video like this, where it's just me just saying however I feel, talking about things that I like. But yeah, I think for now that will do it. If you too are a Sonic fan and are looking forward to the third film, I hope you'll enjoy it. And yeah. Thank you Paramount, thank you Sega, and thank you to everyone who has been working on these films. It's been a joy so far, and I look forward to seeing what's coming next. But yeah, for this video, ending it here. Thank you all so much for watching, hope you all enjoyed. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.